Welcome back to my channel. My name is Kayla, and it's funny that I said welcome back, as if I've done anything here in months. It's been a really crazy year. Not good or bad exactly, just weird, and reading has been okay, and life has been busy. And I was going to film, this is like the mid-year freakout tag, and I was gonna film this weeks ago, and then I got sick and I was like dying for 2 weeks. It was awful, and I feel like I've been sick a lot this year and traveling and just unwell. But I'm gonna try and do this a little bit more because I do enjoy it, and I do think I need like a creative outlet from like the editing part of it. I need a hobby really bad. And yeah, and I think I really enjoy BookTube, like watching it. I've been watching it. And I've been reading a decent amount. That's the like first question, but I just have not been able to sit down and film stuff. I tried like filming stuff, and those videos are now so old that it's just like completely irrelevant. Like I have like a vlog from like March. I don't even care about it anymore. But anyway, yeah, so the mid-year book freakout tag I feel like is a great time to try and get back into this, and maybe I'll even like batch film a couple things today so that I actually have stuff. But yeah, mid-year book freakout tag, a great time to come back. The first question that everybody, I don't know if it's like an official question or if it's just like everybody starts the video talking about this, but it's kind of, how has your reading year been? And I started off really strong. I read so many books in January and February, and then I wouldn't say I got in a reading slump. It just, I got busy. I was traveling a lot, especially in April, and like not reading a ton while traveling, and just, yeah, wasn't excited about picking up books as much starting in March. So, but I'm still like on track for my reading goals. For this year, I changed my reading goals to like less books, but like the same number of pages, because I want to be less scared of big books, and I'm on track with both of them. Like I'm way ahead on my reading goal because I lowered it, and I'm still like reading a lot of books. And then on track with my pages, which is so great. So it's pretty good reading year. Not as great as I wish it would be, but a low month for me has been like 4 books, and I feel like that's pretty good. It's just like, they're not huge books or like the exciting new releases, so I'm always just like, I have other stuff I should be reading. But yeah, overall pretty good. I'm gonna be looking down at like the questions, but the best book you've read so far in 2025. I would say it's hard to pick one, and I don't actually own the one that if like I was forced to pick, I would pick, but Deep Cuts by Holly Brinkley, I believe. Okay, yeah, Deep Cuts by Holly Brinkley. I read that back in March, and it basically is, it's a romance, coming of age, literary fiction thing about music. It's really just about 2 people who love music and the connection that they have because of that. It's very much like a toxic, messy relationship. It takes place in the like mid 2000s. I believe they're in college, and the book starts in like 2007, something like that. 8, I don't know, but they're like 2 or 3 years older than me, and so a lot of the experiences are like, when you look at like those slightly older kids and you're like, oh my god, they're so cool, like that was like me. So much of the music, like the author made a playlist, and so much of that is like just music that I loved. So that is absolutely like a book that I will be thinking about forever, and I want to get a copy of it, but I've been hesitant, like delaying it a little bit. But yeah, and then other favorites are Private Rights by Julia Armfield, which I'll probably mention again. What else? I had a lot like of 5 stars at the beginning of this year. I really loved My Best Friend's Exorcism. I don't know if that's my favorite Grady Hendrix. I've now read 3. I don't know. I really loved Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, so that still might be my favorite. But yeah, I love that. And right now I'm reading East of Eden, and I think that's gonna be like my favorite book of the year, but I'm only halfway through it, so who knows? Okay. Question 2 is best sequel you read in 2025. And I feel like a lot of people are probably saying the same thing, but Sunrise on the Reaping, Suzanne Collins, the new Hunger Games book. It's like a prequel, but I think it's literally the only sequel I've read, unless you count the Poirot books, which I don't know. And yeah, I love this. I think it was like a 4.5. I don't think it was quite a 5 star, but it's probably my second favorite Hunger Games book. I just loved it. I thought it was like perfect. I think that I think Suzanne Collins really writes books and releases books like because she feels like she has something to say. So this book was very timely, talking about like propaganda and everything, and I really loved that. And the characters were great. And even though you know how it ends, like how you get there was like crazy to me. And I actually like can't believe that people like no one dislikes this book, right? Yeah, I loved it. New release you haven't read but you want to. I have a hold place for the audiobook for the Riley Sager. I don't know if it's gonna be good, but it's gonna be fun. And those are like brain off books. Mostly I'm really excited for Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I've heard good things about it, and I always like Taylor Jenkins Reid. The only one that I would say that I didn't like was Carrie Soto's Back. But yeah, I really like it, and I had to get it in hardcover because we have all the books in hardcover. I actually had to get rid of our copy of Evelyn Hugo because it was annoying me that it wasn't in hardcover. So yeah, I'm excited to read this. Probably like my next physical book that I'm gonna read. I feel like there's a lot of good books like coming out now. I want to read the new B. Schwab, even though I've never read B. Schwab, and I think I saw somebody say that it takes place in like the Addie LaRue universe, so I think I have to read that first, but maybe not. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year was hard. I don't keep up super intensely on new releases. I really rely on the people I follow on BookTube to tell me what to read, like what the new stuff coming out is. I don't like do a ton of research myself until Christmas when I'm like, oh no, like everybody in my life wants to get me a book. Let me come up with a list of books. But I would say the first one that I think of is the like next Thursday Murder Club book. So that was the only one that I had like in the top of my head. And then I looked up other like lists of stuff and found some things that I haven't heard mentioned that I'm very excited for now suddenly. One of them is Bog Queen by Anna North, which comes out in October 14th. And that is like a historical fiction, it seems like. And it says, when a body is found in a bog in northwest England, Agnes, an American forensic anthropologist, is called to investigate. But this body is not like any she's ever seen. Though its bones prove it was buried more than 2,000 years ago, it is almost completely preserved. Soon, Agnes is drawn into a mystery from the distant past, called to understand and avenge the death of an Iron Age woman more like her than she knows. So yeah, so it's like, it's I think 2 timelines, and I find it deals with like Celtic Europe, which I find very, very interesting. And yeah, so I'm excited for that, even though I literally just heard about it 30 minutes ago and when I was Googling. But yeah, that sounds really good. And then the other one is Sweetener by Marissa Higgins, which comes out August 19th. And she wrote A Good Happy Girl, which I also haven't read, but I really want to. Like, it's been on my like list of books I want to read for a while. But it's a lesbian screwball comedy following two exes who turn to online dating after their dramatic split, only to end up seeing the same woman. So it's two wives who split and they kind of are dealing with their different things, and there's also something with one of them wants to like foster a child, but they have to like pretend to still be together so that she looks better to like foster that kid. And yeah, it just sounds funny and ridiculous, and I love lesbian books. There aren't that many, so I feel like whenever there is one, I'm just like, mine. Yeah, so I'm excited for that. And biggest disappointment, I always feel bad talking about this one because it's just like so personal, and a lot of it is about my own expectations. And a lot of times I DNF like crazy if I'm not into a thing, or if it's not the right time, I stop it. Like, so I don't really finish anything that's going to be less than a 3. So that's really lucky the way that I read. And so many booktubers like can't do that because they just have expectations that they're going to give reviews and just read a certain number of books. So one of the good things about being someone with like 4 people watching these videos is that no one expects anything from me. But yeah, so I don't frequently read stuff that I don't like, but I recently, I think it was like March, but Ruby Fruit Jungle by Rita Mae Brown, which is something I've been so looking forward to because I only ever hear positive things about it, and Rita Mae Brown is such like an icon in the lesbian community and everything, and I give it, I think, a 3.5. Like, it's not bad, or maybe a 3, probably a 3, but it follows this girl as she grows up. She's like from the South, or like Pennsylvania, like, but like Appalachia type of thing, and moves to New York City, and her experience in college, and her experience like being a 20-something in New York City in the, I think like the 60s. And she was a slightly unlikable narrator, which is fine. Like, most of my favorite books are unlikable narrators, but there was just stuff that just bothered me, and some of it's like a product of the time, but the way she talked about like butches really grossed me out. And yeah, I just didn't really enjoy my reading experience. I didn't really care about her that much because I just felt like she was kind of an awful person. And like, you know, like, even when I read an unlikable narrator, I still want to like be rooting for them weirdly. And I wasn't rooting against her, but I wasn't really rooting like for her. And yeah, I just didn't enjoy it. And I understand, I'm glad I read it because it is important and so many people love it, and I'm not discounting anything from Rita Mae Brown's importance or talent or anything, but it just was like dated in a way that made me like uncomfortable. So that's just me, but I would recommend it if you're looking for lesbian books, honestly. Like, I'm the freak who didn't like it. Like, literally everybody loves it. I'm actually filming this at the end, so if the lighting looks weird and everything is off, just pretend that it's not. Because I got so into ranting about Ruby Fruit Jungle, which I'm probably gonna edit a little bit anyway, that I forgot to talk about the biggest surprise in like a good way. And I have 2 answers for that. And the first one is, it shouldn't be a surprise to me at this point, but I've now read 3 Ali Hazelwood books. My favorite's still Bride, I think, but I also read Love Theoretically, which was good, and then I read Deep End, and I was like, I don't know how she's gonna like handle this like BDSM book. And I really enjoyed it, and I was surprised by it, and I wasn't like grossed out by the sex or the attempt at like the kinky stuff or whatever. And I liked the characters, and there was like a male narrator who did the voice of the love interest, and I thought that was like a really cool audiobook thing that I hadn't really experienced before. And yeah, I really like that. I just like her sense of humor. It's kind of millennial, but I'm millennial, so it's like, does it make sense for these 20-year-olds to be talking like this? No, but as someone probably about Allie Hazelwood's age, I'm like, ah, that's so funny. Yeah, and I thought it was good. I actually like wish there was a little less swimming and a little more like romance, but you gotta have a plot, I guess. And then my biggest surprise, and is also probably gonna be one of my favorite books, was If We Were Villains by ML Rio. I read this in January because I started it, I think 2 years, I think I started it in January of 2023, and I read about 40% of it. And I was listening mostly to the audiobook, and I didn't really like the audiobook narrator. So like, I should have just switched to physical because I owned the physical. But so I like kind of soft DNF'd it, and I was like, okay, let me just read a little bit more and see if I hate it. And then I can just either fully DNF it or just, I'll have an answer for this question. And like literally 15 pages, if that, after where I stopped, it got so good. Like I had stopped the person who dies, I don't remember if it's something back, but like had just died, and I just, there's like a girl in this who just is such, she's like a manic pixie dream girl type of thing, and I just did not like her and didn't like the romance thing that we were supposed to believe at all between her and the main character or whatever. Like, I was like, no. And then it got so good. Like, it was so good that I gave it a 4.5, I believe, because I'm like, the second half of this book is a 5-star, but the first half of this book is like a 3, but like in my heart it's a 5-star because of how much I loved the second half and like the way I just keep thinking about it. But I couldn't really give it that because it's like, if the first like 40% of the book is so boring, it can't be a 5-star to me. But yeah, I loved it. And like, it just, once you understand like everything that's like going on and the acts and the tragedy of it all, it's so good, so good. And I think they're making an adaptation of that at some point. I don't know, but yeah, I loved it, and definitely recommend it, and definitely recommend pushing through to the 50% mark before giving up. Favorite new author, either debut or new to you. I have one of each because I'm cheating. And the debut I've already mentioned was Holly Brakely, who wrote Deep Cuts. That was her debut, and I'm really excited to see what she does next because I liked her voice and perspective. And then new to me would be Mona Awad. I read All's Well, and I thought I had it, but it's behind me. Yeah, I read All's Well back in January and loved it, and I'm excited to read more from her. I think I'm probably gonna read Bunny this fall, like looking for like a seasonal spooky read or whatever, dark academia, autumn, you know. Yeah, so those are probably my favorite new authors. Newest fictional crush was always a weird one. I know a lot of people like eliminate that. I don't really read, well, I do read romance novels, but I mostly read straight romance novels. And I don't have crushes on straight people. Like, I'm not gonna have a crush on a man, and or a straight girl for the most part. So, but but I would say that the closest to that was one of the, like, everybody in this book is gay. It's like follows 3 sisters, and it's like an apocalyptic dystopian future kind of thing where it never stops raining, so the world is flooding. And it follows 3 sisters like after the death of their like dad, and their mom died like years ago. But or well, yeah, but I'm not gonna get into it. It's so complicated. But yeah, so one of the daughters is in a relationship with a non-binary person named Jude, who is just like, I don't know, one of those like steady kind of people, and I just think they sounded like somebody that I would have a crush on in real life. And that was probably the sister that I related to the most too. So I was like, oh my God, I get why she would like them, you know, like it just felt, yeah. And their relationship was like so lovely. So yeah, Jude from Private Rights I think is the closest to a fictional crush. But then the next question is like favorite character, and I have so many. I love so many of the characters in the books I've read. Like I love the flawed characters. I read Zammy by brain is blanking. Audre Lorde, and which is also one of my favorite books of the year. I can't believe I am just mentioning it now. Zammy. And I loved that main character. And that's the difference to me between like that and Ruby Fruit Jungle, because it takes place at like a similar time, and Audre Lorde like talks about the way that she feels like kind of separated from the community, because at that time a lot of the lesbian community was like very butch femme based, and Audre like was neither butch nor femme, so it was kind of like, well, who do you want to date? And like she ended up dating a lot of people who also weren't in that. They call them like kikis, I think. And like, so she was kind of like, it's not that she wasn't into butches or femmes necessarily, it was just that they weren't into her, which felt kind of hard for her. Whereas like in Ruby Fruit Jungle, the main character was just like, and butches are gross men. And I was just like, let's not. You can not be attracted to somebody without being mean about it. But yeah, so she was one of my favorites. Oh, I loved Maisley from Sunrise on the Reaping. Loved, like Haymitch isn't a nude me character, but I just loved him even more after reading that. But yeah, Maisley was like the baddest bitch. And I'm not done with it, but I'm halfway through East of Eden. Unreal. And I really love a lot of the characters in this, but I love like I support women's rights and wrongs kind of characters, so I really love Kathy in this. She's absolutely the worst, and I'm having fun with that. I loved the main character in All's Well. I love, yeah, just if you kind of suck a little bit but are like fun about it, I'll love you. Then books that made you cry. Most books make me cry. I'm gonna I'm gonna go through my story graph of every book I read this year and see if it made me cry. No. If We Were Villains made me cry. The Favorites made me cry. My Best Friend's Exorcism made me cry. Like All's Well made me cry. Private Rights made me cry. Zammy made me cry. The Women, like, oh, okay. Like, book that made me cry, The Women by Kristen Hanna. Kristen Hanna is always gonna make you cry. And this one made me cry in like the most surprising ways. The end of the book actually made me sob. Like, oh my God. Private Rights made me cry so much. And then Private Rights made me cry like because I was done with it, which is like the best. The Favorites was like such a weird, like, I really liked it, and it made me cry in like the weirdest places again. My Best Friend's Exorcism made me cry like with just how beautiful their friendship was. Deep Cuts made me cry. I like was crying like less than 10 pages in because something said reminded me of my own relationships. Sunrise on the Reaping, sobbing like from the reaping, like through like oh, I reread The Alchemist this year, which is my favorite book. Always makes me cry. My camera just turned off, so let's see if it can refocus. Okay. Yeah, so a lot of crying. Most books make me cry. East of Eden, I have cried. So I've cried from like beautiful sentences. I cried, the first time I cried, I've been like highlighting it a little bit, annotating and stuff. The first time I cried was like so surprising. I just felt so bad for one of the characters, like absolutely sobbing. Like Charles was my poor little meow meow. I'm just gonna say that. If you've read it, you know. Yeah, so a lot of crying. Happy crying, sad crying, this sentence is beautiful crying, I relate to this too much crying, just all the crying. If someone could cry at something, I will do it. I cry almost every day. Like, I made a list of every time I cried in the month of May just because it would be funny, and it was like 16 times. Like, and those are like ones I remember. There were probably like other ones that like I was driving and listening to a song that made me cry, and then by the time I got home I forgot I did that. Yeah, I love to cry. Book that made you happy is a little harder. Sunrise on the Reaping made me happy at points, but mostly it made me sad. Poirot, I read Peril at End House, and he just always makes me happy. I love him, and that was one of my like surprise favorites. I just didn't predict it, and I just found like the characters so interesting and what was going on so interesting, and I like some of it I was like kind of predicting, but I was like wrong about, and I love that. So he's my little guy, and he always makes me so happy. The Alchemist is a reread, always makes me happy. It's just like just such a good book. And this feels like a weird one, but Everything's Tuberculosis by John Green. Like, there's a character in it, and their story made me sad and then happy, and yeah. So a character, a human being, obviously, but you know, in a book we're just being told their story through John Green, so it's like becomes a character. He's not telling his own story. But yeah, so that made me happy. I was glad that it went that way. Yeah, so yeah, I don't read a ton of happy books. I read my first Discworld, which is abroad, and that was cute, and that made me pretty happy too, actually. Favorite book to film adaptation that you've seen this year? I haven't seen any. I haven't watched a single movie this year. I barely watched a TV show. I watched like Abbott Elementary. Since the last time I did this, I think Interview with the Vampire aired. I like that. I'm really excited for next season of Bridgerton, and that I think they got renewed for like 2 more seasons, so we're seeing my girl Francesca, which they made her gay. But I would say the one I'm most excited for that I think is probably coming out soonest because they're filming it, is the East of Eden adaptation with Florence Pugh, who, oh my god, I love her, and she's playing the character I just mentioned, who's like my favorite character. So I'm really excited about that, and I just feel that it's gonna be good. Most beautiful book you bought this year is definitely Lady of the Lake. Let's see if I can see this properly. Yeah. Oh, like. And then it's kind of like simple on the inside, which I like, actually. But yes, Lady of the Lake by Jean Menzies, who is a booktuber, and I will link her here. I love her channel, and this is a like sapphic King Arthur book, and I'm a freak about King Arthur. Like, since I was probably like 9 or 10 years old, absolute freak about King Arthur, and this literally follows my 2 favorite characters in the entire legend, Vivian and Morgan. Like, absolutely incredible. I'm so excited, and it is so stunning. Like, this is very much, I think the next question is like books you need to read. This is very much a book I need to read. Actually, one of the questions that I deleted is like videos you're most proud of. I made like 1, or videos you need to make, and I think I want to make a book where I read like King Arthur retellings. I have this one, Legendborn, and another one that I can't remember the name of, but I have another one, and yeah, and I think that would be like a fun video to do, but it'd probably take me like 2 months to film, so yeah. but yeah, that book is stunning. And what books do you need to read by the end of the year? That one, Atmosphere. I need to finish this bad guy, this guy, And I also bought Grapes of Wrath because it like is the same kind of with like the deckled edges and everything, they like match, but I don't think I'm gonna read that this year. That's like a lot of Steinbeck in one year. I don't need to read like 800 pages of one guy, but I really want to read Emma, actually, I think this year. And I want to read one more classic. I'm trying to read classics and not be so scared of them. I love East of Eden, so I'm like, why am I scared of them? So yeah, I think my girlfriend just read this and she said that she liked it so much more than Pride and Prejudice, and this is my favorite. Like, the movie that with Anya Taylor-Joy that came out was like my favorite. Like, I like it more than Pride and Prejudice as like a movie. So yeah, and this one's gorgeous too, actually, but it's not gonna focus. But yeah, but we got this like 2 years ago. So but yeah, so that is the mid-year book freakout tag, and hopefully now that I've kind of talked about all the books that I've read and I don't feel like a weight of like, I didn't do a monthly wrap up, oh no, now it's another month and I didn't do a monthly wrap up, I can just like have a fresh start. My next monthly wrap up will be the July one, where I will hopefully talk about finishing East of Eden, but if not, I've read some good books this month. So yeah, hopefully this will get me excited to come back and do more stuff here, because I do miss it, and I love YouTube, and I love having a creative outlet and talking about books. So hopefully I will see you guys soon. Like, comment. I'll try and reply to comments. I'm also so bad at that because I just like, my ADHD just is like, oh, you got a comment, and then I read it and then it disappears from my brain. But I'll try and get better about that. And hopefully if you subscribe, you'll see me ever again. Thank you so much.